Thank you very much for the presentation. And it's true that I have been with since 2009. I've actually been with since 2003. But it's not me that we should talk about. It's JRE and their AI journey that we're going to talk about. And hopefully this one will stick with me. But first, I want to take the time to say thank you to all the sponsors, because without them, this event would not have been here at all. I will do that again in the end because they deserve that, but at least now it is done for everyone in the room. And then why should you spend the next couple of minutes, 2, 3, or perhaps 40, together with me? The first thing is, this is one of my go-to statements. I have written about it, I have spoken about it, because all the time it is claimed that Sitecore is for enterprise clients only, and I very much disagree with that. I think that organizations of all sizes can actually use it, and this case is actually not an enterprise client, so this is why I have taken this one in. And anyone that wants to talk to me about that, I'm more than happy to do that over a drink or something else. With AI, there is an expectation of doing more with less. That is very common. Digital teams are managing more and more content, more and more channels, more and more expectations from end users, management, and so forth. Than ever before, and at the same time, a lot of the teams are actually shrinking in size due to the introduction of AI, and that can be good or bad. I don't take a stance on that. At the same time, we see changes in how search patterns from the users are changing. We also leave that as a task for the machines to do with the introduction of AI. So the way that we make sure that we are still visible is also changing, and it's happening quite rapidly. And that's not the least due to the AI-driven answer engines. So we start out by JRE, which is our context, because that's what it's all about these days, context. And then I will try to take you through some of the steps of the journey that we have had with them. It's a project that started up in December, I think, and they should have gone live this week, but they decided themselves to postpone till next week because they actually have a congress themselves this weekend, where they will also be announcing some of these things. So next week we will be live with the new solution. So it's a couple of months that it has taken to do the migration from a non-Sitecore system to SitecoreAI. So context seems to be the magic word, and better than me telling it, I will let someone else tell you who JRE is, and then I will summarize it a little bit. We have this
Discovery has changed. Today's audiences don't follow a linear path. They explore, compare, and decide, often before a brand even realizes they've been found. For brands, that creates a new challenge. How do you stay visible, relevant, and trusted in a world shaped by constant digital discovery? Because it's no longer just about being present, it's about how you show up. Leading brands are already redefining how their experience translates into the digital world.
For us, it was never just about building a website. It was about finding a pattern that really understood our brand, our philosophy, our attention to detail, and the experience we create for every guest. JRE is built on individuality. Every restaurant and its own identity, its own story, its own voice. So we need something flexible, a platform that could bring everything together, but without losing that uniqueness. That's what made SitecoreAI the right fit. It allows to translate our world into digital, in a way that still feels curated, still feels personal, and true to who we are. And that's been the real shift for us. We can tell our story better, showcase our restaurant more meaningfully, and connect with our audience in a way that feels much more considerate, which ultimately drives stronger engagement with the brand. But importantly, it is also give us the foundation to evolve, to keep building on the experience as expectations continue to change.
Because today, experience doesn't start at the table, it starts the moment you're discovered. With Sitecore, brands move beyond static digital presence to create connected, intelligent experiences that adapt in real time, bringing together content, data, and context so every interaction feels relevant, seamless, and considered. Because the brands that lead tomorrow are the ones building for how people discover, engage, and experience today. Crafting digital experiences with the same care as every bite.
So it's a foundation. They have members, more than 400 restaurants, 160 hotels. They are all in the space of fine dining, executive dinners and events, things like this. But each of the restaurants, they are independent, right? So it's not an enterprise organization. It's a foundation that they have made to have a bigger engine that they would have had, each of them. The marketing team here, three people, and then there are some locally that are also helping with localizing content and things like this, but they are not many. And what they experienced on their old platform was exactly that they were limited in their opportunities to engage with their members and audience. And it's very important for them. Everything that they do needs to be spotless and shiny and whatever you would expect going into a Michelin restaurant or things like this. So I think half of them actually are Michelin restaurants. They needed to do the migration, and this is where they found that Sitecore would be a great fit. We were luckily enough at Assembly to be able to support them in this. They have quite a large content estate. They have translations in 6 different languages. It's a business critical platform. This is where everyone that is trying to figure out where to have their next event in these lines will go to, either their side or competitors. At least that was how it were. But with AI, things are changing a little bit on that. And Natalia couldn't be here with me, so I have 2 quotes from her because she wanted it to. But as I said, she's standing in Switzerland preparing a congress running over the weekend. But what they wanted was to be able to move faster. They wanted to create more relevant experiences and basically have more flexibility and intelligence in their digital foundation. So the journey begins. AI was a broad topic, and it was for sure that they wanted it to start somewhere with it. There are many different fields that you could have ventured into. Should it be optimizing their translation workflow? Should it be generating new content? Whatever not. And after discussions with them, it was agreed that our first experiment would be on the SEO AEO discipline. So this is what this presentation primarily is focused on, and is also one of the standard agents that actually is included with SitecoreAI. So that's also an advantage, since this was one of the reasons why they chose the platform, to use some of what was inbuilt there already. It's also an area where they had internal expertise, at least some, but they were not experts, but perhaps they could actually save things, having AI helping them more here. During a migration, this is like with design and everything else, also a good area to take up to evaluation. Jackie said it very nicely on the stage, that there were many sites that probably wouldn't have had or wouldn't have implemented the JSON LD schemas today, which is good for the agents, for the AI engines. And then it's also a place where we could do immediate improvements. So manual SEO, or the discipline of SEO, and with manual, that's people doing it, is under pressure these days. It doesn't scale very well. It takes quite a lot of effort. Search engines are not looking for links in the same way that we are used to. They actually look for answers. And by the time that you discover something is wrong, that's usually when you have gone into production with a migration project, at least. But here we hope that we could pick up some of the things beforehand. So from SEO to AEO, or GEO, or whichever other abbreviation for the same thing that can be used. We focus much more on structured data, much more on intent clarity, and we need it to be, we need for machines to be able to understand what is going on. And this requires consistency, not only how we bind pages together, but actually what we write on the pages is important all of a sudden. And it should be something that we are working with constantly, which also means that the typical audits that many companies would do once, 2, 3, 4 times a year, getting in an agency, helping them do an SEO audit of how is everything looking now. It's simply too slow and too long in between that you're doing those audits if you want to keep up. Very interesting. There are many different studies on it. I think it's interesting, at least, because this is a shift. As I said, not links, it's content that we are looking for. And this is a study from last year, looking at some of the most used tools, Perplexity, ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot. And what it actually shows is that it is not very many of the links that Google search, which was the go-to before, right, presents as the results being relevant, that the AI engines thinks are the results that are relevant. And if we start searching through the AI agents instead, then we don't find the pages that we are currently focusing on. So, waste of money, perhaps. People are still looking, so it's not for that. But it's only 12% of the hits in this survey. That's based on a 15,000 prompt sample across all of these. It's only 12% on average that were in the top 10 pages that we are working with. And you can see beyond the top 10 is not much bigger in terms of overlapping results, but most of the hits were actually not even presented in the search engines that we normally use. The migration that we had to do needed to be fast because we needed to be ready for the Congress. As I said, they were actually wanting to have it live before, then they changed their mind. They didn't want to have it live before, but still, we had 3 months to do it in. And I don't know how many have been in migration projects, but it's not a lot of time to do it in. It's also not unrealistic. And using the AI agents could actually help us in improving some of the tasks that we would have to go through with them. it's not everything that we have figured out with the AI agents that has actually been implemented in the process now. Some of it is just lined up as backlog items for the journey going forward. An AI agent observes content, context, goals. It evaluates the clarity, the quality, and if everything fits, well, then it will return the results. But it also collaborates with humans. At least it can, it should, I think. In SitecoreAI, there's also the concept of flows. And that is interesting because you can combine agents doing a sequence of steps and hopefully get more value out of it. And here's one of the first things that I will say about flows in Sitecore. They are partially flows, in my opinion, for the time being, but things are happening really fast. So I can create a set of agents that are executed in steps, but it's not many of the agents where I automatically can take the context from the result of the first agent and pass it on to the next agent. And that would have been nice, right? So I do an AEO SEO survey. I figure out that there are 10 different things that could be done. Part of it could be to generate FAQs that could be implemented on the pages. Then I would have a content creation agent pass on those findings, and it could write up the FAQs for me. That requires manual steps in between as it is right now. So for me, it's more a collection of agents than it is an actual flow, but I'm sure that it will come. And I know that there are also Sitecore people in the room here that probably can confirm that this is actually some of the things that are being worked on. So it will be good, I'm sure. There is a lot of agents. I don't know if you have seen it before, but in Sitecore there are 20 plus, something like that, agents that you can use straight out of the box. And the one that we have used is firstly this one, the AEO SEO Researcher. Then we have combined it with the content creator and the researcher. And then I did an experiment with the bulk content creator, but that didn't turn out very well. So that we have left out. But the three of those together actually, in my mind, makes quite good sense. The agents, they can be configured in a way so that they comply to brand guides, to whatever documents that you would like them to operate within. And you can also supply them with instructions, so you can create prompts that gives them a bit more information on what it is that you actually want to achieve. In the flow that we have, nothing happens automatically from what they have created, right? So they come with the agents, they come with suggestions, and then it is up for the content editors to figure out whether or not it should be used. This has two reasons. The first reason was that the Agentic API enabling now I have a result from an agent and I want to place it somewhere here in my content structure, was just released, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, yeah. So it was not ready when we were doing this. And the second reason was because it's still experimental, so JRE also wants to be in control of what is actually going on. And that's also fine. So right now, we get a lot of information, but nothing is moved into any place by itself. When you work with the agents in SitecoreAI, there are spaces, and each of the spaces are where you have defined a flow or taken an agent or have gotten some signals configured that you would like to work with. So they just turn up here and they move around as you use them. So the latest one, JRE assembly, is having the mass content generator as the last agent that has been used in that space, and that was the experiment that I disliked. But each of these are kind of a workbox for whatever task that you have configured should be done, and you can go into it, you can see how it was also way back, but you can actually also, and this is entering into a space, you can actually also continue working with the same flow that you have carried out once, improving the findings in it. So this is how it looks like. You can see out on the right hand side, there is the page review, then there's the researcher, then there is the content generator, and then there is the one that I have left but will be removed because it doesn't really make sense. When each of them has run, it will come in with a record that you can then click on and see whatever was the result of that particular step. This is part of the AEO SEO agent. It comes with a report. If you have worked with it before, it might seem familiar because it is making scorings on different criteria. The semantic signals, the content grounding, technical implementation in relation to SEO. Then it comes with improvement points. Then it comes with, what's it called? It's called, now the word has gone from me, it comes on a slide in a minute, but exactly what the chances are that we will actually be discovered by one of the AI engines. And we have our context here, we have our instructions, we do have versions, so we can do the same step several times and we can actually see what has happened the last time, what was the recommendations. We can also export it for usage in reporting or other things. But one of the funny things here is also that when a step has run, an agent has run, it's very likely that it will ask you a couple of questions based on what has just happened. And answering those questions, it will actually reiterate itself based on the input you have just given it. So it could be, I have figured out that there are things around the way you are displaying authors on the site. I have found out that you are missing LD-JSON schemas. I have figured out 2 more things. Which one is the most important? Okay, then you click that one. And then it will ask you one more thing. And then it will make a new report based on the criteria that you have put in for it. This is the one down here that is being shown. Each of the areas you can click on, make a drill down, then you get a more specific detail for this particular, why is the scoring 62? Which elements can you actually improve on in order for getting a higher score on this, this area? And here it is before I have answered some questions. Now I answered the questions, it was thinking, and then I don't know if you noticed, but now the list is different from before. I'm not expecting that you can read what's on there, but it's just different items that it is saying, okay, if these were the things that you actually thought were important, then this is the quick wins that you should go for. Citation forecast, so it was the citations that that I was looking for as a word just before. It tries to figure out for some of the most used tools, ChatGPT, OpenAI, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Gemini, the content that I have gone through, how likely is it that you will actually be found? And in this case, they are pretty good. They are on a 4 from 1 to 5. They're on a 4 on 2 on them and 3 on 2 others. So it's not terrible, but it could also be improved. And then what are the recommendations in order to increase the citations? And here, for instance, one of the things were exactly this with the schemas that they don't have. So what I did, and this was where I would have liked the agent to be able to just pass on the information itself, but I just did copy paste, saying, okay, you have these recommendations around the schemas. Can you please use the researcher to go out and make a better description than this one line about what is happening here? And this was a revelation for me, because the times that I have had SitecoreAI presented, it has been much about doing campaign briefs, but actually in this way you could do development briefs. So you can actually make briefs for your development team saying, this is what I need, and have had AI to help you actually explain it in a way that they can also understand it. You can even get it to do user stories and acceptance criteria and things like this if you make that as part of the instructions. So I did the researcher. It explained me first, okay, it's about JRE, so this is what I kind of can figure out about JRE. And then there comes a lot of different recommendations, and I have just taken one of them here, which is around events. So around events, I think that there are some actions. You should implement an event schema that should have these properties. You should also create events in this or that country being a placeholder, so that we can do some indexing on those. You should add some key details to this page. You should do this and this and that. And this is bullet number 5. I think that in this report there were 10 different kind of sections like this, making it very easy. And then the next thing I did was say, okay, so there is something around this with the schemas. Can you please do some, and this was with the content generator, can you please do some sample templates that I can share with my content team, saying this is what I actually would like us to be able to do. We can probably get some of it done by AI, but we also need to still verify it ourselves that it's okay. And at the same time, can you also show how it should look like, so we can go to the development team and say, this is the format that we are talking about we would like to have on our website. It could also be the development team self using this, but in this case, it's in their daily work that it is intended to. So the left-hand side is the description with sample data, and the right-hand side is how it would look like being implemented for discoverability, visibility for AI agents. Then there is a part which is a little bit hidden, but it's quite powerful. You can go to the settings. There you have schemas, you have HTML templates, so you can instruct it with different things. You also have skills. And skills is just a way of making sure that when you have an agent that you feed with this skill, it will have the capabilities of doing what you have said, and you can actually you can control the subjects, for instance, that it should work with. So I created one, which was fine dining and executive event structured data, JRE-Jeunes generator. And then I have said, when you do the JRE-Jeunes, these are the kind of things that you should be aware of. This is what a chef means. This is what a restaurant means. When you fill in things about this, then please, these are your guidelines. That can be written as rich text or markdown or whatever, but you can create these skills. Sitecore has 4 skills defined by default. It has one to how you understand and read text, one to working with CSV files, and I don't remember the 2 others, but they were on the slide. So now we have implemented a flow that the marketeers can use to continuously seeing how their site is performing from some of the many metrics that they will be measured on against other sites. They have gotten tools so they can actually create content that can solve some of the problems. They have a tool where they can help themselves writing briefs to guys like us. So that's all good. But the SEO and AEO is also something about being seen more than your competitors. And one way to do that is, of course, also to be moving on what trends are in the market. And Sitecore has signals for helping you doing this. You configure a signal by saying these are the topics that I'm interested in. And you can do that with a prompt as well. And the way I did it was I prompted the AI engine to be an expert in writing prompts for a company like JRE. And then it wrote up, okay, if you want to see what market trends are there, these are kind of some things that you should be looking for. And then what happens is that once a day, and this is probably because it's very expensive to create these signals, but once a day you can get 3 signals. And it will go out on the big internet and see, can I figure out some things that are happening within the market that you have defined for me? Possible things to act on. Possible things to, okay, here is happening something. I can be a first mover, or I can at least not be a laggard. Potentially valuable context. It's in there. My experience is, I don't know if that's just a bug, but Morten, you can say if it's just a bug. But my experience is that if I change my signals, then all the signals I had, they are gone. So now you have something to go back and test. Because that's a little bit of a shame, because of course you might say that, yeah, now it's something else that I want to keep track on, but I'm not done with the signals that I already had. At least this is what I experienced twice. Might be that I have done something wrong. Signals are good, but again, this is where it's difficult to automate, because there is not an option of pulling in the signals automatically to the agents that you have. So it's a manual process of going to the signal, saying, okay, this is an interesting signal. I will take whatever content I derive from here and feed it to my agent. Again, hopefully this is a place where it will be tied more together. Releases are happening fast. Sean said, so there was November, February, March, right? I think. So that's pretty fast that that updates are coming to here as well. So right now they have the market trends, they can see them, they can read them, but they cannot, they can, but not in an efficient way, use them forward. So this is kind of the setup that we have made for them. We haven't seen it live yet, so it's difficult to say what the outcome of some of these things are, but I'm pretty sure that we will be seeing it very fast. The idea is, so this is also why this slide is how it could have worked in the migration. If everything had been as ideally as it should be, then we would have figured out early in the process that, yeah, the schemas are not there. Why don't we make sure that every time we migrate a page, we scan it, have the fields to put in the content that would ensure that the schema would also be there. So it would become part of the migration process for each and every page that was there. It could also be, there are missing dates on pages. Okay, let's make sure that every time we migrate content, let the agent check if there are missing dates, if there are the right editorial information on it, whatever there is. And that could prevent the accumulation or the carrying over of SEO AEO debt to our new solution. Going forward, I'm pretty sure that they can work with it continuously, that as both their content and search behavior changes, they are able to go in and both redo the different operations that we have configured for them, but also provide new instructions, right? The instructions, it's just text, so it's just being able to write the correct prompts and things like this, but they can go in and change this themselves very easily. And then they will get suggestions and can be proactive instead of reactive to things. Oh, and then there was this in the near future. Hopefully we can start to pass on results better than we can right now, a tighter coupling to the signals, and it is possible today. It's just that we have not done it yet, but you can also create your own agents. So there was these 20 defined by Sitecore already, but you can go in there and create your own agent and use that as part of your flow. And two that we have had ideas around could be content enrichment agents. So this is about making sure that, for instance, FAQs are on the pages because this is what they will be looking for. Making summaries, making tables, lists, all the things that is structured data that the engines like. And then we have talked about one which is internal linking recommendation. So instead of the editors trying to figuring out this article is relevant if you have read this article, or this chef has something to do with this or that, but that you can actually do a processing of their content, not only with their own site, but also with information from outside, and then figuring out how you can tie your own content much stronger together, because links are still relevant for search engines that are also being used. So those are two ideas we have for it. The thing you should be aware of when you bring your own agent is that the 20 agents, token cost is 0. If you bring your own agent, you pay for the token cost. It's also quite fair. Human control was non-negotiable, so this was the part where we don't do anything as such. Perhaps in the near future, they will decide on some of the things, saying, yeah, now we have the schema in place and we will make sure we believe everything is good now, so you can just fill it in. We don't need to be in charge of that anymore. Business impact, faster, more consistent optimization cycles is what we're hoping for. Shared sense of confidence using the AI. It's also a very simple use case, but still, I think that can have a very big impact. It's easy to understand what is going on. It's a space that they are used to working with, so they can actually also relate to both what is a good result and what is a bad result when this process is running. The existing site was not built for AI, the process has illuminated that very clearly, and we have been able to address it. Some of the things we have had to put on a backlog, as I said, and then it's manageable for the team to work with. Inside the organization, the AEO SEO is not hopefully a bottleneck for them anymore. They don't have to think in the same way of getting the ranking that they want. Content team, they become much more self-sufficient, and that is good because, as I said, there were 3 in the global team, and then 1 person in Italy, 1 person in France, 1 person, so they are dispersed, but this can kind of bring them together, and hopefully AI can be seen as even more a partner or potential resource to scale with. And I have said even more because this is a client that is already embracing it. So this could also be used to minimize the feeling of threat from the AI if any department were in that position. SitecoreAI, is it needed for doing all of this? Could it have been done without? Yeah, of course. There are many tools out there that can do a lot of this that they have done here. They could also have been applied. Some of them are free, some of them are not. However, it gets things together, And I think the concept of the versions, so it's very different because it's just in the system. You already have the work you have done before on the same track. Whereas if I went to Google Lighthouse, well, then it was my responsibility to file the report somewhere and take it out again when I would compare it to what I had done previously and things like this. It opens up for the possibility of leveraging the Agentic API to actually also automate that things are happening in your Sitecore structure. So I think that, yeah, it is definitely something that is useful, even though it could have been done without. Learnings from it. It's about embedding the optimization early, not after launch. Put some guardrails in, make sure that you have the right skills, that you have the right prompts to make sure that AI doesn't get too helpful. That also happens from time to time. And then a continuous improvement is much better than one-off excellence, is what we are thinking at least. Yeah, Agentic AI turns CEO into AEO. The teams, they gain leverage without losing control, and the focus shifts from firefighting or on a daily basis operational work, we have to do this task, into actually being able to have time to do strategy around it instead. It's not about replacing people with AI. It's about giving teams confidence, consistency, and scale, freeing up time to do things that are actually more important. And at some point, perhaps AI can do that, and then we can do the cycle once more and so forth. But in these aspects, this is where we at least think that Agentic AI creates lasting value. And then the journey is not over. It continues, of course. As you can see here, especially the last part, where Natalia says, especially around AI with a shared mindset of experimentation and progress, this is what they really want to continue working with. This is me. I was introduced very nicely. My contact details are there. If you want to talk about this with me or something else Sitecore with me, then I'm all up for it. I live in Copenhagen. I don't know the number of projects or engagements or things like this that I have been involved in, but it's a lot. And it's cross industries, public sectors, private sectors, yeah, membership organizations, you name it. So yeah, that's me. And more importantly, once again, thanks to our sponsors. And I think that we have a minute or two left, but I wanted to end here while we still had the questions. So if there are any questions, then the floor is open. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a quick comment. As you said, releases are happening very fast. So a very recent release of Agentic Studio actually brought in chaining of agents, so you can pass the context or the assets, the artifacts that is created, you can pass it to the next agent.
But not to all of them yet.
No, yeah, well,
no, not
it
to all.
Depends on how
it
works, but
at least not yesterday. You could not pass on to all.
We'll test it out. But the intent is that you can pass from any to any.
You can to some of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And more questions? The agent skills, are there anything more to them just a prompt, or is it just you write a webinar prompt and just pass it on?
It's basically a text prompt, right? It is basically telling the agent that you should behave like this. So yeah, and this is also why I said the way I did it was I told Copilot to be an expert prompter in writing a prompt, to write a prompt for me to have the skill, which is basically a prompt, right? Yeah. It's a very neat trick to do that in general. If you haven't tried it before, it's very helpful to express what you would have written as your own prompt, kind of as a context to telling it you're an expert prompter, this is your context for writing a prompt like this, because it's much more detailed than you will do it yourself. That's not to do with SitecoreAI, it's just prompting in general.
Can the SEO agent also, apart from your own content, check competitors to make suggestions to improve?
Yeah, so I mean, you can, in theory, put in a competitor's URL and then you will get their site analyzed within here. So if you can use that for something, then yes. And then again, you could pass it to the researcher saying, I have figured out this and this and that. What could I do compared to my own report? So definitely. And of course, if you are blocked from crawling their site, then you don't get much response back. But in theory, yes, absolutely.
Where does this leave kind of SEO or AEO specialists within an organization? Do they become largely redundant with this, or is there still a role for them?
It's a super good question, which I don't know the answer of. I will be honest to tell you. The question I would more often get is where are developers left, right? Because it's kind of, you can make a presentation about coding and then say, where are you left? I do think, at least on a short-ish term, there is plenty of work to do in those roles as well. Over time, perhaps there will be fewer, like there perhaps will be fewer developers, but I think that having an understanding of what is actually happening and being able to react on that will always be an important part. I think that in many areas of AI in the next couple of years, there will be people cleaning up a lot of stuff that has been done because people don't know what has been decided by AI on their behalf. So I definitely think that there is a role for it. I don't think that it's I do think that the job will change as for a developer. Yeah.
Sorry for asking this question, if there anyone in that role in this room.
No, but I think it's like that. But it's the same for developers. So the developers, they will have much more need for being able to do guardrails. They will be much more reviewing what have actually been decided. And a lot of the grunt work that is being done, that will be taken over, I think. But there will still be a lot of things that is to be done. And I'm just not expert enough in SEO and AEO to say this part of the discipline is what is actually going to stay, but I'm convinced that it will be there. And I also don't know if there are anyone in the room, and I wouldn't have hesitated saying it would disappear if that was my belief.
Maybe the last question.
Great presentation, by the way. So there is an option to action signals. So if you go to the overview tab, you can see all the signals below. So you can click on action signals and then call in your content generator or bulk content generator and create your landing pages and social copies as well. So that's possible.
Yeah, but you are still going into the signal. Okay, so you can you do it so that it is part of the flow that you have defined, so you don't need to do anything else from there. Okay. That I will have to see.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.